And here we are. Hello once again. Welcome to the Vibrant Living Hour on New Thought Media Network. I am your host, Ken Ludwig, and I'm glad you joined us here today. This is my second show on the on this network, and the second incarnation of, or just the second show, I guess, of the Vibrant Living Hour. And I am here to continue the beautiful message that comes up before the show comes on about what New Thought Media is all about. It's about positivity. It's about empowerment. It's about prosperity. It's about living the highest vibrational life you can possibly live. That's what Vibrant Living is all about. It is in conjunction with a web page. I'm not a web page. I'm sorry, a Facebook page that my beloved Lisa, my wife, and I have. It's called Vibrant Aging. But they tie in together in the idea that vibrant living is what leads to vibrant aging. Living a vibrant life from whatever age. I'm not asking you how old you are, because I don't care how old you are. What I'm asking you is, are you willing to change from whatever you're doing that's not working to things that are more positive and life affirming? That's vibrant living. And from vibrant living, we get to age more vibrantly. We get to be in shape. We get to stand upright. We have a solid core. We are at a desirable weight. We live well. We move. We are excited. We are not sitting in front of the TV set just waiting for the next day to pass. We're living life. That's what it's about. That's vibrant living. So that's what we're here for today. That's what we're here for every day. And and the show will expand and grow. I think I mentioned some things before, and I think maybe if it's the second show and it's maybe the first time you've caught us, a little bit about what we're doing here. My name, again, is Ken Ludwig, and I have been on the radio before in years past. I did 5 years of internet radio on 3 different networks over the course of time. And I loved the show. I loved bringing on the guests I brought on. It was all about new thought. Primarily, it was all about the great thinkers in metaphysics and cutting edge science. That's what I loved. Musicians, New Thought musicians, positive musicians, winners of the Posse Awards, all of those people in that realm of consciousness that is just there compared to where the world is living at this particular point in time, or back even then. And what I said, I think last week, was the fact that I think that the show that I did was ahead of its time, because right now the whole world is podcasting, which is very interesting. The show that I did, of course, was all audio. There was no visual, but it was the same kinds of things that we're doing right here and right now with the video component added into it. But it was all about just bringing things to another level, bringing things up a notch, and then another notch, and as many notches as we could bring it up. So that's just, that's a brief history, just very brief. I don't want the show to be about me. I just want you to know why I'm here, I guess, and what this is, what the purpose of this whole thing is. My joke that I said last week is, you don't do an internet radio talk show simply because you think you have nothing to say. If I didn't have a point of view, I wouldn't bother doing this. And I do have a point of view, and I have a point of view about lots of stuff. But what I really want to do is not so much express my point of view as allow for the expression of points of view, if that makes sense to you. It's not just about me, it's about all of us. What do you think? What do you want to think? What are you capable of thinking? Let's go there. Let's ask the questions, what if? What if I changed the way I think? What if I did things differently? What if I stopped judging? What if I stopped calling every person on the road who is not as skilled a driver as me a flipping moron? Whatever that is about you that you might be willing or desirous to change, are you willing? Are you truly willing? I'm a firm believer that there is no such thing. Well, there is such a thing, but it's not useful for me. Willpower is not of use in my world. Willpower is an argument that I set up between me and me. And the truth is, I'm going to lose at least half that argument 100% of the time. What I believe in is willingness. Are you willing? If you are willing, there is no argument. There is not, remember the cartoons, the little angel on one shoulder and little devil on the other shoulder, and they argue back and forth, but eventually you got to, wrong shoulder. You got to knock that little devil off the shoulder and say, pipe down there, pal, this is what we're doing. So it really is about truly, truly desiring to do that next step, that next highest vision of whoever it is, you or I or anyone else came here to be. Today is Today's 420, and before the show started, Robert Brzezinski, the producer of the network, we were talking briefly about it. He made the comment, how did 420, the ultimate stoner holiday, get hijacked by the CBD industry? And I thought that's pretty funny, because that's part of my whole mission in the world is around CBD and CBD infused products. And we're going to talk about that in a minute here, because there's something I think you ought to know about. But what the whole 420 thing, my wife asked me earlier today, what does 420 mean? And I had the answer of someone who has no idea. I have no idea. So I looked it up. And here's what we get. This is very interesting to me. The idea of 420 was started in 1971 by 5 high school students in San Rafael, California. They used the term 420 in connection with a plan to search for an abandoned cannabis crop. They were using a treasure map that was supposedly made by the grower. They called themselves the Waldos, and that was because they typically hung out at a specific spot by a wall outside the school. Waldos. Okay, that's only high school kids come up with that one, right? They designated the statue of Louis Pasteur on the grounds of the high school as their meeting place, and 420 became their meeting time. So the Waldos referred to this plan with the phrase 420 Louis. After several failed attempts to find the crop, they eventually shortened their phrase to 420, and ultimately that evolved into a code word the teens used to refer to smoking pot. A reporter by the name of Stephen Hagar of High Times, the magazine High Times, he popularized the story of the Waldos. There was the first mention of them in 420 as a smoking reference, and a 420 as a day for a holiday was in May 1991 in High Times magazine. The connection to the Waldos was made, and Hagar attributed the early spread of the phrase of 420 to, this is really interesting, to a guy named Waldo Reddix. Coincidentally, his name was Waldo. That was his nickname. And he was a roadie for the Grateful Dead's bass player, Phil Lesh. And he designated 420 as the appropriate time of day to indulge in smoking dope. And that's how it kind of got popularized. It's become an international counterculture holiday. It is celebrated all over the world. People gather not only to celebrate, but they talk about the liberalization, legalization. So it's kind of more than just a holiday. It really is it's a celebration, half call to action. I found that fascinating. The whole thing, this whole 420 thing, was started by 5 high school students almost 50 years ago. And here we are. 420 is now a holiday. So and Robert said earlier, how did the CBD industry manage to just completely hijack that holiday as a marketing tool, which, and come on, let's be honest, it's a great marketing tool. But one of the things I told you guys last week was, I'm in conjunction with this whole thing going on in my back, and we're going to talk about that, because I promised you I would give you updates on how that's going and how I'm treating it, because vibrant living is about vibrantly taking care of our bodies, the body temple. But I mentioned to you my connection to CBD. One of the companies that I represent in the world is the largest direct-to-consumer distributor of CBD products in the world. And I use, of course, several of these products. And one of them that I have been using every day for quite some time is 750 milligram tincture, a CBD oil. It is what's known as full spectrum. Full spectrum has, in order to be legal, it has 0.3% or less of THC. THC is the cannabinoid that gets us high. By the way, it's the only one of over 100 cannabinoids in the cannabis plant. It's the only one that does have a psychoactive effect. But I use the CBD for several things. First of all, universally it's great for anxiety. It helps people who just are tense or stressed. It helps them a lot. It universally helps with sleep. It helps me sleep better than I've slept in a very, very long time. But the other one that is really a big deal is pain mitigation. And all I can tell you is it works. It works, and it works in an interesting fashion, because, as I mentioned last week, and I hope the science doesn't bore you, but There is an endocannabinoid system in your body. Endocannabinoid system is a very complex system of receptors on virtually almost every single cell of your body. So cannabinoids interact with every cell of your body. And because your body is in need of that interaction in different places, sleep, stress, anxiety, pain, whatever, it interacts with those receptors at different levels with different people and different receptors with different people, depending on what the body needs. And the main contribution of CBD really is to attain homeostasis. Homeostasis is balance. It helps us to achieve balance. Now, if you're stressed or if you can't sleep or if you have pain, obviously you're out of balance. So CBD helps you to get to that homeostatic position of being in balance. So I use the CBD all the time. I use it every day. I use it every night before bed. But since I hurt my back, or not hurt my back, but since I have this diagnosis that I have this this condition of degenerating discs, I have to be careful about the wording, and I hope we'll talk about that as well. But I've been using it for pain, and I've been using it 2 or 3 times a day, including that one at night. And it works. It just helps to mitigate the pain. I actually have this company has different strengths of the CBD. It has 500 milligrams, 750 milligrams, and 1500 milligrams. And they all come in the same 30 milliliter bottle, which is just a tad more than 1 ounce. That's the measurement, and it's different concentrations. So I just ordered today some of the 1500 milligram, because rather than use more of the 750, I just want to go to the higher concentration strictly for the pain relief ability of it. The other thing I use for pain is a cream. It's called Relief. It is also CBD and now CBG infused, and it's great for pain. I don't know if I told this story last week, but real quickly, when I got my first order of that cream a year ago, February, when the box came, I had really stressed out my knees doing some exercising, and they were really sore. And when the box came, I knew what was in it. I opened it up in the dining room. I dropped in my pants right there and started applying the cream to my knees. And literally before I finished applying it, my knees stopped hurting. So I was in love with that cream from day one. I use those things. Just before the show started, I realized my hands were really dry. So I grabbed this. This is a hand and body lotion that I love. Thick, creamy, rich, and it moisturizes. It really works. And it lasts for a while, which I love. Not always the case with a lot of other stuff. I'm showing you these today because, first of all, I'm using them, and there's part of the story around what's going on with the degenerative discs and the sciatica that we'll discuss. But the other piece of this is today's 420, and this company that I work with, they, in Robert's words, absolutely hijacked 420 for a marketing tool for all of their CBD and hemp infused products, because let's face it, they're all from cannabis, and we're consuming the cannabis. We're just not smoking it. We're just not smoking the THC. So in celebration of 420, every single product in this product line is on sale. Buy one, get one free. There are no better sales in my world than 2 of any product for the price of 1. So it's a great deal. Find me. You can find me on Facebook. Just Ken Ludwig. I'm the only Ken Ludwig that's in Golden, Colorado. You'll find me. You'll recognize me with my signature black cowboy hat, and you can message me there. If you're someone who knows me, text me or call me. Email address. You can send me an email. You can send it to teamrockitnow@gmail.com. And that's Team Rocket, like rocket baby, not rocket ship. So it's ROCKIT now@gmail.com. Team Rocket now@gmail.com. Email me there. How else can you find me? Go to Facebook. You can go to the Vibrant Aging page. You can go to my page. You can go to however you can find me, But make sure that you make it a point. If you're interested in these products, this is a 420 sale. So it ends at midnight tonight, midnight Pacific time. So that's 1 o'clock in the morning, our time. But it's only for the one day. So if you're interested, I'd be glad to hook you up, or at least get you some information and tell you more about it if you're interested. That is the blatantly commercial plug for my business part of the show. I don't want to make the show about that either, but I want you to know it's interesting for you to know what I do. And if I have a great bargain for you, why wouldn't I pass it on via this incredible platform that I have here. Let me have a sip. Because of the sale, I've been talking on the phone all day long, reaching out to all the people that are my customers and that I know who might be interested in this, because this is a fabulous sale. And by the way, just again, this is a this is a terrible, completely unselfconscious plug, but that's the way it is. All of this CBD is third-party validated, so that it is literally followed from seed to oil, and everything is verified as far as concentrations by a third party. So you're getting nothing but the absolute finest products you can buy when you get them. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't sell them if they weren't the finest. And the last piece of that is to ensure that we give you the benefit of the doubt on that. We're so confident in the quality that we will give you a 60-day money-back guarantee. That's the end of my plug for the day. Talking about the CBD, again, from a standpoint of pain relief, and we're going to do a small segment here on what's going on with my back. One of the things I mentioned earlier was I had to be careful how I talk about it. I'm really careful, or I'm trying to be really careful, not to say I have degenerative disc disease or I have sciatica. No, I'm experiencing an incidence of the degeneration of some of the discs in my spine. And I am experiencing a inflammation, irritation of my sciatic nerve on my right side that is causing me to experience a sciatica incident. But I'm not owning them by saying them I have them. To say I have sciatica is it's like it's like I have a $5 bill. I have it. No, I'm just experiencing it, and it too shall pass. And as I mentioned last week, Vibrant Living is about recognizing the 4 components of every aspect of your life: mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical. And so there are mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical aspects or components to every single aspect of what's going on in my spine. So we start with the physical. Okay. The physical is using the relief cream, using the CBD oil. I occasionally will use some Tylenol. The doctor has recommended that I stay away from the NSAIDs, all right, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, which would be ibuprofen and aspirin. She just recommended I stay away from. I'm not going to go into the explanation, but the bottom line is that Tylenol was the best choice for me. I take 2 Tylenol PM. I have been taking them most nights, but most days I've been going without medication. I've been using the cream on my back and the CBD. And I've been doing that because it gives me the relief. Now, that's part of the physical. The other part of the physical, I wish I could turn my camera around, but it's way too much hassle. I think I mentioned last week that I had ordered an inversion table. Never used one before in my life, but the inversion table arrived. I use it twice a day. I use it morning and evening before bedtime. I use it at a 40-degree angle. It goes to a 60, and then, of course, you just hang straight down at a 90. I will get to the 60, but I want to be cautious about the space between the bones of my spine and those discs. So I'm using it. I don't think I stay in it for 5 minutes, but the truth is I get enormous relief, and I can feel the increase in space between the bones of my spine. If you practice yoga at all, one of the purposes of yoga is to increase the spaces in your spine, to lengthen your spine. And most people who are getting older, if you get to be my age, you probably have noticed that you're not quite as tall as you were before. Well, some of that has to do with lots of different things, but part of that is the decreasing of the space between the bones of your spine. So stretching them out is a big deal. So I have the inversion table. Every day, every morning and every evening, I now stretch. I haven't really worked out very hard for the last week and a half, just simply because there was a lot of pain involved with the sciatica. But I'm gently moving back into exercise, to working out. I am doing my cream and my CBD. That's the physical. And it's working. I want you to understand that. It's definitely working. Now, I mentioned last week also that I got into, when I first got the word that this was what was going on in my back as far as the degeneration of some of the discs, one of the first things I did was come home and grab this book. Is there a Triple Light, killing it. Evolve Your Brain, Joe Dispenza's first book. Read it many, many years ago when it first came out, and I loved it. But as I said last week, I think it's very interesting when you reread a book after 10 or 12 years. It's incredible that it's never the same book. I might as well never have read it, in light of what I'm getting from it now. But you know the story, or you don't know the story of Joe Dispenza. In pages 15 through 30 of the book, he talks about how his spine was basically destroyed, crushed from the middle of like T8, his thoracic eighth vertebrae, all the way through his 1 through 5 lumbar vertebrae. They were all crushed, and big story about never walking again, and operations and rods and blah blah blah. Bottom line was he had his friends cart him out of the hospital, and he went to his friend's house to heal himself. And this was a man who was told if he didn't get the operation, he probably would never walk again. The operation to put the rods in his spine. Within 10 weeks, he was up and walking. Within 12 weeks, he was back at his chiropractic clinic seeing patients. That's phenomenal. That story was stuck in my head from the book from years ago, so I went and started reading that. And I read that piece twice, and then I started reading the book from the beginning. So I'm now very much focused on rebuilding my spine and relieving the irritation and inflammation on my sciatic nerve on the right side in particular. And I'm doing that with mental work. And I'm doing it via meditation. In my meditation, I am taking the things that I am learning from Joe's book, and I am putting them to use as far as visualizing and kind of telling the story, if you will, of my discs, refurbishing and rebuilding. And I do that every morning. And I do it for as long as it takes to get from my SI joints, my sacroiliac joints, where your spine meets your pelvis, from there all the way up to that T8 vertebrae that where Joe experienced his breakage. And then I just kind of do the rest of them, the rest of the thoracic and the upper spine. I do them kind of all together. I get up from the meditation feeling better, physically feeling better. Joe Dispenza always said that you want to sit down in meditation clear that you will not get up as the same person who sat down. Or you should be clear when you get up that you're not the same person that sat down. From the standpoint of actually making a physical difference in my body, I totally get it. I am not the same person who sat down. So that's a combination for me of a spiritual and a mental and emotional piece of how this is all going together. The other mental and emotional pieces would be to not succumb to any thoughts of why is this happening to me? No thoughts of, am I going to live the rest of my life this way? No thoughts of how bad the pain is. To always look to go to the next higher spot, as I feel like I should in everything that I do. Anytime there's a negative thought, what's the positive thought that's going to change that? It's going to move me somewhere else. In conjunction with that, I held this up last week too. I also started reading Greg Braden's book. This was not his first book, The Spontaneous Healing of Belief. He wrote The Divine Matrix before this. I don't know what else he may have written before this, but excuse me, that's also just a great book for the idea of recognizing and knowing that what's going on in this body temple, is absolutely controlled from up here, from engineering. This is where it all takes place, is between my ears, and actually focusing the consciousness that is projected and activated through my brain, through my mind, focusing that on the healing techniques of making myself better, making my body work the way it was before. So in the realm of all of this came some things from the beginning of Joe's book. Joe talks about working with lots of people, studying lots of people who healed themselves, spontaneous healings of different kinds of ailments, everything from terminal diseases to broken legs and other bones and those kinds of things, skin irritations, just healing them. And he found that there were some things that were in common that he called the coincidences. And I find them absolutely fascinating, because this applies to, he applied it to what he was studying as far as the people healing themselves physically, But this is how life works. This is the coincidences that we need to have clear in our mind that will help us change whatever it is we want to change. Help us to acquire, if you will, not physical things, but that the next highest vision, by using these thought processes to change what we're thinking, to change what's going on in engineering. He calls them the 4 pillars of healing. And the first one is, there is an innate higher intelligence that gives us life and can heal the body. He talks about it in terms of the philosophy of chiropractic, he was a chiropractor to begin with. I guess he still is a chiropractor, although I'm not sure he's cracking a lot of bones these days. But in the chiropractic philosophy, the idea is that the energy that made the body heals the body. So basically, if you're coming from my worldview, I absolutely am clear as a bell that the overarching creative intelligence of the universe, call that whatever you wish to call it. I like God. I like spirit. I love the overarching creative intelligence of the universe. It is a volitional intelligence that is the energy that is everywhere, is everything. That volitional intelligence, in lots of religions, they say God is everywhere. I have always loved the metaphysical twist of that. There is no place where God is not. That just rings different to me. God is everywhere. It kind of has me looking out there. Where is God? There is no place where God is not. That's inclusive. God is in my glasses. God is in this notebook. God is in the computer. God is in God is in the signals that Wi-Fi is sending. God is in the light over my head here. God is in every cell, function, action, and reaction of my being. That innate intelligence created the stars. That innate intelligence created everything about me, the 50 to 100 trillion cells that are Ken Ludwig. The divine intelligence is that. It is in every cell. It is in every space between every cell. There is nothing literally here other than that overarching creative intelligence expressing itself as what you're seeing on this Zoom, me, on this StreamYard, on this show. That innate intelligence has the capacity to heal anything and everything that goes on in my body. The question, of course, is accessing that. How do I get a clear channel from here to it, to whatever's going on, to the experience? How do I do that? My primary method, of course, is meditation. I don't think there's a better method, but I think there are varying ways to meditate. I think there are varying ways to look at it, varying ways to get to it. But it's all about focusing attention on that energy that gives us life, that higher intelligence that gives us life. Coincidence number 2, thoughts are real. Thoughts directly affect the body. I think we know that. And if you don't know it, like as something you can express as a belief, you know it instinctively. There is, without a question, a connection between what we think and how we feel, what we say about us and how we feel. Be careful what you attach the words I am to, because those words have a way to come back and claim you. If you're walking around going, pick a subject. I'm pissed off. Well, guess what? That's not going to change until you decide that you're not. I saw one today that I wish I could remember exactly how, but it was something about a clerk in the store. Said something to a customer about, wow. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was the Department of Motor Vehicles. Took a picture for a driver's license, and the driver's license clerk says, would you like to retake that picture, ma'am? And the woman says, why? She says, because you look angry. And the woman says, so what? Well, the driver's license clerk holds up the little license, and she says, well, you're going to look angry for at least 5 years. She said, in 5 years, I'm still going to be angry. There you go. Change your thinking, change your life, right? Change your mind. Change your mind. You can either be angry all the time or not. It's a choice. You get to decide. I don't care what the circumstances were. I don't care what the situation was. You get to decide whether or not you're angry about it. And more importantly than that, for how long you're going to be angry. And all of those things affect your body. When you are angry, there's a million studies out there. It shortens your life by so many minutes. It's every time you are angry, you flood your body with cortisol, the number one stress hormone, with adrenaline. Those are stress hormones that stress out your body and cause nothing but damage and contribute to the shortening of the lifespan of your cells. If you switch over to happier thoughts, and that's, again, a choice. If you switch over to happier thoughts, then you flood your body with all of the neurotransmitters that are positive and that make you just feel better. When you feel better, all the cells of your body feel better. Again, what we said last week, right? It's you think how you're feeling, but then you start to feel how you're thinking. And it is a circuit. And you can break the circuit anytime you want to by moving to whatever the more positive thought is, whatever the more positive idea is, or circumstances. So, leaving the room of a negative set of circumstances is changing the environment and switching from cortisol to oxytocin, to serotonin. Give you those positive neurotransmitters as opposed to the negative. Coincidence number 3, we can reinvent ourselves. And I think that's what we're just saying. Right? We reinvent ourselves by changing how we're thinking, changing what we're thinking about, changing our circumstances, changing what you do. Sometimes we do things that annoy the hell out of us out of habit. Stop it. Just stop it. Did you ever see the old Bob Newhart routine on his show? He's a psychiatrist, and a woman walks into his office, and she sits down, and she says, "How much do you charge?" And he says something ridiculous, like 5 cents a minute. She said, "What? 5 cents a minute? Why is that?" He said, "You'll see." So she says, first of all, she tells him that such and such is really annoying her, and he looks at her and he says, "Stop it." And she looks kind of quizzical, and she's, "What? Stop it." And she keeps talking. He says, "Stop it." And he just keeps saying, "Stop it." Eventually, that's his only advice, is stop it. That's his whole psychiatric methodology. But the truth is, that is a great circuit breaker, to just tell yourself, stop it. And keep saying stop it until you can move your thought into something else. But it's a great circuit breaker. Anything you do as a circuit breaker. I used to use a golden key phrase from Emmett Fox. Actually, the thought came from Emmett Fox. The definition of a golden key phrase came from him. But my golden key phrase was, "There is no power but God. God is my source, and God is with me now and always." And I used that all the time as a circuit breaker to just change my thinking process from whatever was in my head that wasn't life affirming, that wasn't working for me, to something else. My latest one, this one I love, I know I mentioned this last week, is Ho'oponopono. And I'm going to do a little research so I can give you a better explanation of how Ho'oponopono works. But it is from an old Hawaiian tradition. It is, and the English words that I'm familiar with that go with Ho'oponopono are, "I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you." As part of my mental work in the morning when I do my meditation, I go through my entire body and stop at all 7 chakras. And I also stop at my knees and my feet. And I repeat Ho'oponopono 3 times, going up from my feet to my crown chakra. And then I go down from the crown to my feet using the English terms, "I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you." All I can tell you is it's an incredible way to just have a positive feeling about your body, my body, and how I treat it. And it also is a great circuit breaker when I have a negative thought. I use it all the time when I have it. You have those people in your life that annoy the hell out of you. You know who those people are, right? And don't tell me you don't have any, because we all do. Some of you are looking at me going, "You're it, buddy." Could be. But I use the Ho'oponopono all the time when I have grudges, when I have feelings of slights, feelings that people that I just don't care for. It's okay to not care for them, but I don't need to think about them. I don't need to be renting them out space in my head for nothing. And just thinking about them all the time and what's going on in their world. So I use Ho'oponopono on them, and I may just use it once or twice or three times, whatever it takes, to get that thought out of my head and go somewhere else with it. I think it's important. I just love that concept. I love all of that. And coincidence number 4. This is big, this one. We are capable of paying attention so well that we can lose track of relative space and time. You do that when you get completely engrossed in a movie, completely engrossed in your meditation, completely lost in prayer work, completely just engrossed in something. I remember, it's very funny. It just occurred to me the one time I interviewed Joe Dispenza many years ago on my radio show. When it was over, Joe said to me, Ken, we just collapsed space and time. That was such a great interview. I had no idea that an hour had passed. That's exactly what he's talking about. We have the ability to pay attention so well, so focused, that we lose track of space and time. That has happened to me now the last 2 days in a row in my meditation, because I normally meditate 45 minutes to 50 minutes. Usually comes out all my meditation and prayer work and my affirmations, all those things that I do usually takes 45, 50 minutes. The last 2 days, it's been over an hour, and it was over an hour because I completely was lost in what I was doing. And a good deal of that was around the ideas of my healing, the work on my spine and my sciatica and the Ho'oponopono work, along with all of the other things that I do in meditations, the prayer works for all the people who are in need of prayer in these very interesting times. We all know lots of people who are in need of prayer work and are in need of a helping hand right now, whether it's mental, emotional, spiritual, or physical. I'm doing my best to give them what I can. So there's the update on my back and the teaching that I'm using to help me. Let me get a sip. I had another thing here that I had a note on, and if I can find it here, I really wanted to talk about it a bit. It's the idea that every single moment of your life is a manifested moment. What's happening right now is a direct result of thoughts that preceded it. Every moment is manifested by something that preceded it. And once that moment is gone, by the way, it is instantaneously the past. As I just say the word past, it's past. It's already gone. It's already done. Nothing to do about that. Nothing to change there. Somehow, some way, I manifested that particular set of experiences or words or the show or whatever is part of that, and then it is gone. Many years ago, a guy by the name of Peter McWilliams, which I'm sure the book is like right close to me, but I don't know where it is. Peter McWilliams wrote a book, You Can't Afford the Luxury of a Negative Thought. All ties into the same things with Joe's work. Is if every moment is a manifested moment, then we really can't afford the luxury of a negative thought. You absolutely must do your best to have the most positive thoughts you can possibly have, because the universe is never, ever, ever going to have any answer for you other than yes. I had a friend who passed away way too early in this world. He used to do seminars, and one of his example was, again, the I am thing. Okay, one of his examples was when you say, God, I'm such a dummy, and the universe, or that little voice in your head, which is also the universe, it says, okay, boy, I really screwed that up. Okay, boy, I'm a jerk. Okay, you manifest that. You manifest it because the universe is going to say yes every time, 100% of the time. No failing on that. The universe never says no. The universe always says yes. The questions are you receptive to that yes? Is the yes really exactly what you thought it was going to be? And can you make that work for you? Are you always going to be pleased with the yes? The answer is 100% you will be pleased with the answer. The answer will always work for you. That yes will always be a positive for you if everything you placed into the divine mind, into that quantum field, was what it is that you truly desire. And it was all for your highest and best and it hurt no one. So the yes is definitely going to support you. It's definitely going to be for me, for us, for you. So maybe part of the work then is to be absolutely certain that everything that I am processing through mind, that I am putting out into mind, into the divine mind from my little human circuitry of mind here, everything I put out there is going to come back as something positive and good and nourishing for me. Again, all four components: mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. To me, when I think about that in the big picture, that's the work, man. That is the work. There is no other work than making sure that I am enjoying my life, that all my time is spent experiencing more joy, more love, more enthusiasm, more abundance each and every single day. As I say all the time, it's about accepting the universe's invitation to be more. And the way you accept that invitation is by your own yes into that divine yes, into that quantum yes. And you only do that. Your yes has got to be just those positive thoughts. Your yes has got to be your love, your compassion, your kindness, your willingness to be a selfless servant of the one. And I don't mean to supplicate yourself. I mean to just serve the highest and best. To know that giving is receiving, and to know that serving is the awakening to the eternal. A friend of mine always says we are alive to the degree to which we serve. And I think that's true. I don't think there's any time where we feel more alive than when we are serving. When we're serving anyone, anyway, anyhow. It can simply be a smile to a stranger on the street. It can be that $5 bill you handed out the window to the poor guy with the sign at the stoplight. It could be any number of things that give you the opportunity to just express yourself as that divine mind expressing. Another sip. It's funny, as I saw that one thing earlier today that I mentioned, I'm not asking you how old you are because I don't care. It doesn't matter how old you are. You've heard me say, or or whatever, I'm 70 years old, just turned 70 in December. Part of me was like, wow, how the hell did that happen? Other part of me was, I know quite a few people who lived in the same realms that I lived in who didn't get to be 70. Growing old is not a gift given to everyone. Growing older. My idea is to grow older and not get old. That's what vibrant aging and vibrant living is all about, is to not get old. And it's interesting as you grow older that the guy inside here, is maybe wiser, maybe more tuned in, maybe more loving and kind and compassionate, those things that I mentioned earlier. But in a great many ways, it's still the same guy that I was 30 years ago, 40 years ago. I still have the same thoughts. I still have a lot of the same loves. Um, it's just interesting. I guess it's, kind of some of those old jokes. You look in the mirror and you're wondering who the hell is that old person that hijacked your body. You see the lines, you see the, the, the sagging, you see, all the signs that the body is putting on years and showing the signs of those years. The things you have experiences like the things that are going on with um, my experience of degenerating discs or my experience of sciatica. You see those things happening, you feel those things happening and experience them, and you're kind of clear that, wow, there are changes happen in the body, but that does not have to change who I am, how I express. It might actually, in this is really clear to me. These particular experiences have made me considerably more aware and conscientious about my body and taking care of it. All the way back to the idea of vibrant living doesn't start when you're in your 50s, 60s, and 70s. It starts when you're in your 20s and 30s. Vibrant living starts with taking care of yourself, knowing that you're taking care of your nourishment, your mindset, your fitness, your renewal. You know, nourishment is the single most important piece of the puzzle, really, as far as how your body lives, grows, respond. We live in a time when we're eating a lot of crap, folks. We're not eating good food. We're not eating food in a lot of instances. We're eating food-like substances. We need to be clear that we're putting the best possible ingredients into our system to ensure the best possible mitosis, which is the creation of new cells, the best possible immune function, which keeps us protected from crazy viruses that spread around the globe and everything else, the common cold, the flu. I've read in different places that there are cancer cells in our bodies all the time. But for the most part, a healthy immune system combats them and they don't ever manifest as cancer. That makes sense to me. But in order for your immune system to be healthy, it has to have the ingredients. You cannot ingest an immune system. You must give it the ingredients, your body the ingredients it needs to build an immune system. Vitamin C, vitamin D3, zinc. There's a whole list of them. Those three are really big ones in the great scheme of building your immune system. But you have to, as much of them as you can get from actual food sources is the most important. You can supplement to whatever degree you need to, but actual real food, organic, non-GMO produce, limiting the animal protein intake. I'm a real proponent of little or zero dairy, a little bit of cheese, a little bit of ice cream. There's so many other ice cream choices that are not dairy that are really, really very, very good. That are worth experimenting with. And I'm not a big cheese eater, so I don't know about the cheese alternatives, how good they are. I eat so little cheese that I'm not interested in the alternatives. One thing I would never put in my mouth is the artificial meat things that they're coming up with. I don't know if they're artificial or what the heck they call them, but trust me, if you read the ingredients, they're worse than eating any kind of meat. If you must eat meat, animal protein, stick to the beef and stick to the seafood and to poultry. I really have, my beloved Lisa and I have moved away from the poultry quite a bit. We eat more fish than we ever did before, and we have, depending on the week, 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 nights where it's mostly vegetarian. Giving our body the cleanest food, the cleanest ingredients we can give it to get the absolute highest return on that ingestion, to be as healthy as we possibly can be. And I think it's more important as we get older. And that's, and then there's, I mentioned 4 different things there. That's nourishment. Then there's, let's back up a little bit. Easy on the grains, particularly easy on the white grains, the rice, the white rice, the pasta, the breads. There are other alternatives, but man, back off the sugar. Sugar is my biggest bugaboo. I had a sweet tooth before I got sober. Once I got sober 33 years ago, sugar became its own food group. And that has been my bane ever since. We don't get fat because we eat fat. We get fat because we eat too much sugar. Cut back the sugar and you'll You'll lose weight. Trust me, it'll just happen. So there's, the other piece of that is, the next piece of that is, that's the nourishment. Look at fitness. Fitness is really just about moving your body. Really simple stuff. You don't have to. I have all my exercise equipment in my house. I have a Bowflex. I have a bench with free weights. I have a Nordic track. The Nordic track is a relic. It's been sitting there for a long time. Doesn't get a lot of use. But I do a lot of walking, and I embraced the walking when these issues started to be my experience with my back. I walk, and if you walk as brisk a pace as you can muster for 30 minutes a day, your whole life will change. You'll change your metabolism. You will absolutely lose weight. You will. Getting out in the sunshine is a huge benefit. The vast majority of people, at least in the United States, are deficient in vitamin D. The main source of creating vitamin D in your body is to be in the sunshine. That's why so many of us have to supplement with vitamin D, vitamin D3, because we don't get enough sun. I make sure I get some sun almost every single day. Get out there even for 5 or 10 minutes, but a 30-minute walk is huge. That's enough fitness. And if you're not fit, if you're not working out, I talked to a guy 2 days ago, bought some products from me to lose weight. 60 years old, 5'10", 340 pounds. And I told him point blank, I said, I don't care what you got to put on. Your snowshoes, your raincoat, your hat, your gloves. I don't care what you got to put on. You get outside and you walk 30 minutes every single day. Because nothing's going to happen if you don't move. You cannot just change your intake. Don't do dieting. You can't just change your intake and release that weight and never have it come back. And it's another thing I try to avoid. And I've gotten it wrong a couple of times here. Don't ever talk in terms of losing weight. You lose your keys. Every time you lose your keys, what happens? You find them. How many people do you know? And I've coached hundreds of people through weight loss and cleansing protocols. Hundreds of people, hundreds of women who have lost the same 15, 20 pounds 15, 20 times. You release the weight, and you have to do a protocol that releases it, never to return, never to haunt you again. That's fitness. Mindset we've talked about. That's really about having the most positive thoughts you can possibly have each and every day. Excuse me, I check the time. I don't want to go long. That's your mindset. Mindset is about meditation. Meditation is the greatest practice I have ever incorporated in my life. I learned to meditate in 1978. I learned transcendental meditation. I have tried all different kinds of meditation over the years. It's funny how I almost always come back to TM. But spending that time in the quiet with yourself gives you opportunity to you learn techniques about scanning your body. Where do you have stress? Where do you have tension? Where do you need to put your attention to relax, to release, to let go? You can meditate for 20 minutes a day. All the masters say that 20 minutes twice a day. I've never, ever been able to long-term master twice a day. I actually am looking to embrace that from the standpoint of doing the work on my physical being, that second meditation. But like I said, I meditate for now 45 minutes to an hour every day. But that's not necessary. You don't have to be a yogi. You don't have to go sit on top of a flipping mountain and contemplate your navel. You just need to sit in the quiet. Many, many, many different ways to do that. Look up meditation, Google meditation. You'll find more ways to meditate than you can experiment with from now to the day you die. Find something that works for you and spend that time. And if some people say, I haven't got time to meditate, trust me when I tell you, you haven't got time not to. In this day and age, in this world, with what's going on in our universe right now, you haven't got time not to. And last thing was renewal. Renewal is really about rest and relaxation. There are a gazillion studies out there on why sleep is so important. We really need to the vast majority of us should get 7 to 9 hours sleep every single night. There are a million problems to keep us awake. You get to be a certain age like me, you wind up with a lot of heading to the bathroom more times than you'd like to. And then sometimes the management nightmares kick in and you just can't get back to sleep because you're thinking about what you got to do the next day. skip the to-do list and start focusing on the to-be list. I need to be quiet. I need to be calm. I do a lot of my meditative work, or the things that I meditate, the tools that I use in meditation. I use them at night if I can't have trouble getting back to sleep. The biggest benefit I have had is CBD to help me get to sleep and stay asleep. And again, CBD is something you cannot overdose on CBD. You cannot overdose. So you just take it as you need it. So you can take it during the night. There is another item, I should have had it here with me, but there's another item that comes from the same company as my CBD brand, but it's a different brand under the same roof. It's a sublingual spray. It's a micronized spray, very, very fine spray. Spray it 8 times under your tongue and guaranteed it'll help you to sleep. That combo, that duet helps me every night. So that's what I have for you this week. I hope some of that was informative. I hope that you got some knowledge from that. As always, I absolutely am incredibly grateful for the gift of your time and your attention. I know there's other things you could be doing. I'm so grateful that you're here with me, and I hope you will continue to visit me when I do this show right here on New Thought Media. By the way, you can go to newthoughtmedia.com and click on the donate button, and you can donate to our cause to keep us going, to help us along the way here. I think that's the correct thing, newthoughtmedia.com. And you can, here's the crawl, but I can't see it. It's ntmmedia.org. I knew I was on the internet, at least. ntmedia.org. Go there, click on the donate button, help to keep us alive and running here at New Thought Media. And everything helps, and I literally mean that. It's whatever you can give is going to be absolutely appreciated and blessed here on this end of things. Again, I thank you for your time and your attention. I wish you all the love and all the blessings that the universe has to offer. And until next Tuesday at 3:00 Mountain Time, right here on New Thought Media, this is Ken Ludwig and the Vibrant Living Hour saying so long for now.